In the default 2010 theme on which we are basing our child theme, the featured image, otherwise known as the post thumbnail function, is used to display custom header images. I personally think this is a waste of that function. It can be used for far more meaningful things, so we're going to add on to the existing function to make it more useful. To make the featured image function more useful, we're going to add some new default sizes to it. What happens when we do that is when we upload images through WordPress, the application automatically makes versions of these images in the sizes we define. Then we can call them from within our theme later. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. First things first, let's take a look at what happens when we actually upload an image through WordPress. So I'll go here in the dashboard to Media and click Add New. This is the same function we use when we create a post or a page and add an image. It's just that we're doing it without relating it to a specific page or post here. I'll go select a file, and then I'll navigate to my exercise files and go to Assets and Flowers, and I'll scroll down to the bottom here and pick this Red Roses close-up. I'll click Open, and then it gets uploaded to WordPress. Now let's see what happens when we upload it to WordPress. If I go to my WordPress installation, and here I am inside my child themes folder, I can navigate back to WP Content and find a folder called Uploads. If I go into 2011 and 05, you'll see that down here at the bottom, we have the Red Roses image. But we don't have one, we have four. We have one that's called Red Roses Close-Up 150 by 150, one that's called 300 by 224, one that's called 980 by 224, and one that's called 1024 by 767. So these are four different sizes of the same image. And you notice that one of them you recognize right away is this one, the 980 by 224. That's the size of our header image that we defined earlier in the course. But where do these other sizes come from? If we go back to WordPress and go under Settings and Media, you'll see here we have predefined some sizes. The thumbnail size 150 by 150, the medium size 300 by 300, and the large size 1024 by 1024. So these are the sizes that are defined by WordPress to scale images automatically so that you can call them later in a specific size. What we want to do is create even more of these sizes that are specific to specific purposes we're going to use them for. We're going to do that inside functions.php. So let's go to our code editor. First, let's take a look at the original function as it is in the original 2010 functions. I'll open the 2010 functions and scroll to line 84. On line 84, we have this simple function, add theme support post thumbnails. This is the function that activates post thumbnails. That means when you are inside WordPress and you don't see the function add post thumbnail or add featured image at the bottom of your pages and posts, it means that you're missing this function and need to add it to your theme. But in this case, my parent theme 2010 already supports it, so I don't need to add that. The next thing we should look at is line 122, which sets post thumbnail size, and then it says header image width and header image height. This is the header image width and height that we set just above here, which defines the size of the header image. And as you can remember, in our functions file, we redefined this, and that's where it's defined. So what we're going to do now is use this same kind of function, set post thumbnail size, to define a set of new sizes that we're going to use throughout the theme. So I'll go to my child themes, functions.php file, scroll all the way to the bottom, and then I can add some new functions here. And these functions are very easy. You simply say add image size, and then parentheses, and then you give the size a name, so I'll call this one small, and then you say comma, and then you set the height 75 and the width 75. And then finally you set whether or not you want WordPress to crop this image. Now since I want this to be a square, I'm going to set that to true. I'll end that function. I'll just copy this code and then create a new one. And I'll call this one medium. This one I'll set to 280 by 280. And again, true. I'll copy that, paste it in, and I'll set this one to large. And the size should be 616 by 462. And again, crop to true. Now when I save this, go back to WordPress and upload a new image. Let's take this Dahlia 02 one, and then go to my images folder and reload it. You'll see that we now have a set of new sizes here. We have the 616 by 462, we have 280 by 280, And we have 75 by 75, in addition to those sizes we had before. That means I've now created even more options. However, there's still a problem. All these other images that we have here are only defined based on the original size that we set in WordPress. So if I want to use a function to call these featured images, I won't actually have access to the featured images from my old images. What I need to do is add a simple plugin into WordPress that will go in and find all my current images and then resize them so that they fit with this new schema that I just created. So I'll go back to WordPress, Plugins, click Add New, and I'll search for Regenerate Thumbnails. And here at the very top, I have the Regenerate Thumbnails plugin by Viper 007 Bond. I'll install that one, click OK. Activate the plugin, and then I can go to Tools, Regenerate Thumbnails, and now I can resize all my images and get new thumbnails for all of them simply by clicking this button, Regenerate All Thumbnails. Now WordPress will go through all my images and resize them. And I have to warn you, if you have tons and tons and tons of images in your WordPress installation already, and you try to do this, it might take a very long time. And furthermore, if you have enough, you might max out the RAM in your server and this might not work. If it doesn't, you are in a bit of trouble because then you can't do it. So I suggest you do this kind of stuff really early on in your installation. The regeneration is now done and we get a complete list that says total images 15, resized images 15, failures 0, and we even get a list of all the images that were resized. And now, if I go back to this window and reload it, you'll see that we have way more images than we had before. And for instance, our Red Roses image now has all these new sizes, 75, 280, 616 by 462, and 980 by 224. Changing the featured image function means you can now use it for what it was meant to be used for, displaying featured images attached to each post throughout the site. In the coming movies, I'll show you how to incorporate these in your posts and pages for some pretty cool effects.